All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barn on 11970. I've been checking the price of gold and silver lately, and very pleased to say that even though I haven't talked about it in years because there wasn't much to say, because basically for the past 5 to 7 years it's been pretty stagnant. We're seeing some breakouts. Silver has gotten as high as past 23. It's now in the upper 22s. But gold has hit a significant mark, and it's for the second time it's hit over $1,900 an ounce. It's currently at 1,905. And if you look at this chart that I'm showing, it only once it broke past 1,900, it only tested that range once and got as low as 1899.89, and it hasn't lowered to that yet and is currently rising. That is very significant at this point, and so much different from the last time when gold hit its all-time high of different sites vary, but it's around 1921. I've seen a couple of different sites say different numbers, so it's around 1921. Now, the biggest thing right now is the situation that's going on in the world, because of the fact, and I want to make sure this is live. Okay, yes. Okay. So the difference is because the fact of the situations that are going on in the world right now, and you know what it is, and I'm not going to say it because you know what YouTube will do. Lots of businesses are shut down. And one of the biggest things that people may not be thinking about or hearing about or paying attention to, because the world wants you to focus on that one particular thing, and they're not really talking about the consequences that are going to affect the economy, is that a lot of the physical mines are, at the very least, slowing down their production, if not stopping altogether. Now, obviously, you could send a few people down into the mines, but you can't send as many due to the health restrictions that are going on around the world, which means there is going to be a supply shortage. And I was showing this to my wife last night, because if you go on any of the major coin sites, and I'm not going to mention any because, just in case, they're either completely sold out of everything physical, or they're charging as high as almost $10 over spot to get a coin. So there is a huge separation now between the paper and the physical, and it's only going to get wider. There are people predicting that this year alone, gold could hit the 2,000 mark and higher. And for years, people would think that's crazy. And I was telling people, if you've been following my channel for years, I said, be patient with this. This is a waiting game, and if you went in saying, I'm going to invest in, and this involves in anything. That's why I also have a We Love Comics channel, because I say the same thing when it comes to comics, because they're investments too. Is if you have the intention of saying, I'm going to buy something and then tomorrow I'm going to sell it and make millions, you're going to be very unhappy. And a lot of people ended up giving up after a few years and sold. Well, I can guarantee those people are going to regret that decision, especially if you sold at a loss. When it comes to investing, speculation, you have to be in it for the long game. And sometimes you miss opportunities, but if you pay attention to the world, it will always steer you in the right direction. Now, one of the things I want to show is, because YouTube will pretty much block this from getting out there, ad revenue is very difficult for me. So I'm posting in the live chats, also in the description, where if you'd like to donate to the channel at all, which of course you don't have to, you can join my Patreon. I also have a Bitcoin that I listed. Like I say, you don't have to, but I always appreciate it. But right now, you can see a little bit of a trend line is starting to form. You see there's higher highs and the lower lows. which means as of now, and that can change at any moment, we're in a bull run. So if you connect these two lines, it's pointing to the next testing point around 1908. Now, of course, it can go down because you'll have people that may sell. But you have to realize, paper right now is not going to mean as much because the GLD, the SLVs of the world, they are just pieces of paper. They say you own silver or gold, but if you actually even read the contracts, they tell you that, let's say you say, all right, I want to redeem my paper GLD for physical gold. It actually states in their contracts that they can deny you the physical and just give you your money back, which would defeat the whole purpose of why most people buy, especially gold, because gold is considered a haven, a safe haven. It basically rises with inflation. So I still have my gold and silver that I've had all the way back to when I started my original channel, Barnon 11967, which was back in 2011. So there is, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, and you can see it just tried to test 1900 again, so there's going to be some pullbacks. That's healthy. But in my opinion, I truly believe that we have not seen the top. And if it could match the all-time high, considering what's going on in the world and how supply is going to be limited, because think especially like, for example, silver, and I think silver is so undervalued. And gold's pretty expensive, so it may not be, affordable to most people. But they also have quarter ounce, half ounce, 1/10 ounce. There's some where there's 1/20th ounce. They sell grams of gold, and they even now sell grains of gold. So you can find something that's affordable. But especially silver. It's used industrially. Now think about a business. If you owned a business, let's say you owned a solar panel business where silver is crucial to your product, and you see the price starting to rise. Now, are you going to wait and take the chance? Or are you going to buy it as much as you can before it gets too expensive? So if there's a big jumps in silver, all it's going to really take is one major company that uses silver for its product to buy in to start making it shoot up even higher. So gold and silver are different in that aspect because gold is considered real money. It's been used throughout history. And we see it's broken the 1900s, so they're trying really hard to paper the market with the GLD. They're going to try and hammer it. But, it's like a snowball rolling down a mountain. Once it picks up speed, it's going to be really hard to break. But to me, I don't have a problem when you see stuff like this. A lot of people panic when they see all of a sudden it drops. Healthy markets are going to have tests. And that's okay. Like I've always said, and I've never changed my mindset about it, even though I didn't talk about gold and silver for a long time. I always said I'm in it for the long game. I don't worry about the current moments. Now, obviously, when there's significant moments like breaking 1,900 for the gold and getting close to all-time highs, yes, that's definitely something to talk about. Silver going up about $4 in the span of 2 days. That's something to talk about. But that's why for a while I stopped talking about it. So even though my channel has changed a lot, it hasn't changed about the fact of protecting yourself, using this not for greed and getting massive amounts of profit, even if you can. It's to protect yourself from what is pretty much inevitable at this point. And it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be doomsday. Because, like I've always used with the analogy of Noah's Ark, whether it was real or a story is irrelevant. The point is, even though the world flooded, it did not affect Noah because he built the boat. Even when everybody else mocked him and did not follow him. So what I'm saying is, the world can be in a horror show around you. You can still thrive in it. Just look at, like I've talked about before, in the Great Depression. There were more millionaires that came out of the Great Depression than any other time in U.S. history. So you have to say to yourself, and this definitely coincides with a lot of things I talk about with choice. What side do you want to choose? Do you want to be the victim? Do you want to be the person always frightened? Do you want to be the person that joins into the horror show? Or do you want to be one of the few that will thrive during these times? That's your choice. I would highly recommend choosing the second, but free will dictates you make that decision. So we're going to see some tests in the 1900 range, but it's broken it. That is going to get the attention of a lot of mainstream media news. They've already been talking about it the past couple of days. The more something is talked about, the more the sleeping masses pay attention, and a lot of them pay attention too late. So I am optimistic right now, but always cautiously optimistic, because we know in a manipulated system things can change. But like I said, if I challenge anybody to go to a website, any gold and silver website, to see how much physical coins, bars, generic rounds are sold out, and you can't even get them. And the sites that have them are selling them between $8 and $10 over spot, and I have a feeling that's going to continue to rise. And some of the sites, you have to buy at least 500 of them. So there is a separation happening. Something I've been warning people about for a long time. And I remember being mocked, insulted, people not listening, and that's fine. One of the things I've learned in this world, 99.9% of the people will not listen to you. The ones that do, that trust your word if it's genuine, will end up being glad they did. So you have to make the decision if you think I am full of you know what, or you think I know what I'm talking about. Because I trust my instincts. And that's why I've stayed in for the long haul. And I did not pay. I was buying gold back when it was around $600 an ounce, and I bought I can't say a major amount because I don't have tens of thousands of dollars and everything, but I bought again at well, I don't remember what the price was, but I know I paid $1,300 an ounce. And it went below $1,300 an ounce at one point. And people laughed. And they're like, oh, look at all the money you lost. Well, you don't lose anything if you don't sell it. So it went as low as around close to $1,000 at one point. Most people would panic. I sat there and said, don't worry, the time will come. It's like blowing into a balloon. I said that in the other video. If you blow into a balloon and never stop putting air into it, eventually it pops. But because of its elasticity, you don't know when that will happen. So, how many people would love to buy an ounce of gold for $1,300 an ounce now? So it's never about what was or what could be. It's basically what you're doing now. So, as you could see, it's now going to be testing. 1900 is going to be a resistance point. It's already breaking through it. So that's going to be on people's minds. You are going to have people that are going to try and sell and get out thinking, oh, it's going to come crashing down again. Those people don't, like I always say, understand the difference between the last time when it went to around 1921 and started slowly crashing down to now is the situation that's going on. And that's not going to change anytime soon. So I've said it before, and I will say it again. Physical gold and silver is a protection. Silver more, if you're looking more wealth-wise, if that's your game, silver is your best bet because it is so undervalued. If you looked at the gold-silver ratio, throughout history, the gold-silver ratio was about, it's debatable between 13 to 1 to about 20 to 1. It got as high as 120 to 1, which either meant gold was overvalued, which you can see is not true because it's risen so much since then, or silver is undervalued. And silver is going to be a lot more affordable to people. You know, they say gold is for kings, silver is for gentlemen, copper is for the poor, and paper is for the slave. You pick. So there we go. So you tested the 1900 and it's risen above it again. So you're probably going to see this for a couple of days. If it breaks the all-time high, in my opinion, 2000 is not out of the realm of possibility. So, again, this is just my opinion. You could follow it, you could ignore it. That's up to you. And again, I'm going to post the description. If anybody can contribute to my Patreon, that's great. It would help, but you don't have to. But like I said, if 2000 is not going to be out of the realm of possibility. And if it breaks 2000, the sky's the limit. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to keep checking this out. We'll see where it goes. I like the fact that it did test the 1900, did not last long, and we're seeing a trend up again. You'll probably see it test a few times because this is a territory that's pretty rare for gold. But I hope the people that listened to my channel and subscribed years ago who stopped listening or didn't get notifications thanks to YouTube can see that I have been consistent since day one. And when you are consistent and you know in your heart, you could trust your heart, you will always end up being right, even if it's not right at that moment. So I want to try and maybe lead by example. If you've been following my channel for years, you know all the suffering I've gone through. The times where I've almost died, where I lost my house, where we had to find a place. A lot of things. And yet I've still been able to not only survive, we're working on thriving. But I'm going to get there. Because you can't really take serious advice of a very wealthy person who is always wealthy telling you that you could make it. Because you can't relate to that. But if somebody like myself that grew out of poverty, because I remember as a kid having to drink powdered milk because our parents were so poor they couldn't afford regular milk. And if you've never drank powdered milk, thank God for yourself that you don't. That if I can go from that to success, and if gold continues to go the way it's going and silver continues the way I think it's going to end up again, because silver tends to follow gold, and silver tends to have bigger jumps percentage-wise. So it's just a matter of time. Once gold gets too expensive, people are going to jump to silver. And again, with the industrial use of silver, eventually there's going to be at least one business. It only takes one to start it. But eventually one business is going to say, we need to start buying some bulk material, what's left available now, before it gets too expensive. And you're going to see things shoot to the moon. Now that can of course change, so nothing in life is guaranteed. So your free will makes your choices. So I know that everything I've done on this channel has been leading to these moments. That's why you don't see me like trying to brag or say, I told you so and all that stuff. Because it's not about that. I'm not doing these videos to try and gain friendship and, have people like me. A lot of things I've talked about over the years have been ridiculed, ignored, made fun of. I've had death threats and things like that, but I've stood my ground. I want to teach people that if you believe in your heart yourself to be true, you will always be rewarded. It may just not happen overnight. And everything else is a guide to get you there if you can stay on track. So hopefully those who have been following my channel for years can put in the comments section to see if they believe that I have been consistent with the things I've talked about. So I want to thank everybody. I want to wish everybody luck. I hope you will take my advice with this. I've been trying to tell people, so those years that people didn't listen, they're now going to pay a lot more money. But in my opinion, it hasn't reached the ceiling yet. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Again, I posted the link to my Patreon if anybody's interested in joining. I also, like I said, I have Bitcoins and things like that. I want to thank everybody for listening. Hit the like button if you can, because YouTube is not going to share this. And keep an eye on everything. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you.